Hey guys, glad to have you back. Today we will show you an American sci-fi movie released in 2016 called Midnight Special. Watch the video until the end. Let's start. The movie begins in a motel. The glow of a television set illuminates the dark motel room. On the news, Roy Tomlin and his friend Lucas are watching an Amber Alert for an 8-year-old kid who was last seen traveling in a gray Chevelle. The boy is in between the two beds in the room, reading comic books with a flashlight while sitting on the floor. The boy is wearing headphones and darkened swim goggles. His name is Alton, and apparently he's special. He's so special that a whole sect has sprouted up around him, led by Calvin Meyer. Calvin Meyer is watching the news broadcast about the missing child. He tells Doak that he must get the boy back no matter what. They exit the space and that we see they're on an altar of an outsized congregation of spiritual followers. He starts reading scripture, which sounds more sort of a series of dates and numbers. The FBI raids the church and we see that we're in the compound of some sort of cult. After the raid, they gather up the members of the congregation into school buses and take them away. Through their police scanner, Roy and Lucas discover that the authorities have an outline of their vehicle, and they might as well be able to identify them. Lucas puts on night sight goggles, turns off the headlines, and speeds through the darkness. After driving through 3 counties, Roy tells him to turn the lights back on and hamper. As Lucas does, their car narrowly misses a stalled car within the middle of the road. However, a vehicle heading within the opposite way is not as lucky and crashes into the stalled car. Lucas stops, gets out, and checks on the driving force. As he does, a trooper pulls up. The trooper is close to assisting when he gets a message on his radio about the Chevelle. Lucas pulls his gun and tells the trooper to not roll in the hay. The trooper pulls his weapon anyway, so Lucas shoots him, gets back in the Chevelle, and off they go. Lucas is assured that the trooper was wearing a vest. The FBI questions the members of the congregation about the large collection of weapons they have started to accumulate. To the FBI's questions, Calvin says it is still currently legal to own guns in this country. In the meantime, we also find out that Alton is Calvin Meyer's adopted son, while Roy is his biological father. NSA agent Paul Sevier arrives and questions the congregation too. He asks about Alton's powers. Calvin tells him that he speaks in tongues and has given the church a series of numbers. It seems those numbers are classified government information. They also mention the light Alton has in his eyes. Sevier lets everyone return to the church. Roy, Lucas, and Alton get to the house of a former congregation member named Eldon. He hides them and already features a darkened room for Alton to sleep. In the morning, the whole home is rumbling like there's an earthquake. Roy runs into Alton's room and sees Eldon staring within the bright light shooting out of Alton's eyes. They pull Eldon away and obtain the goggles back on Alton. Eldon explains that he just had to ascertain it another time. Lucas takes the man's car and gathers Alton. Roy pulls his gun on Eldon and tells him that he has got to do that because the person knows an excessive amount. He begs Roy to spare him. Alton reads comic books within the back of Eldon's stolen utility van and asks questions on Superman and Kryptonite. Roy rebukes Lucas for letting him read that. Lucas defends his decision by saying that it's good to read. Roy does not want Alton reading stuff that may not be real. We get the sense that, before all this, Lucas was not a member of the Meyer family like Roy was. Alton starts speaking in Spanish. Lucas is surprised he can do that. Roy says he cannot and turns the radio on. It seems that Alton is reciting what a DJ is saying on a Spanish-speaking station, even though the radio wasn't even turned on. Roy was ready to determine that the numbers Alton was saying to the church were coordinates with a corresponding date. He must get him to those coordinates by that day, a couple of days from now. They end up at a gas station. Lucas goes inside to get supplies. Roy makes a call and tells Alton to remain within the van. Roy tells the person on the phone that he misses them and can see them for a few hours. Something above catches Alton's attention, and he gets out and wanders away to the sting of the parking zone. Roy runs over and Alton apologizes and points to the sky. Fiery debris rains from the sky onto the gasoline station. Lucas and Roy take Alton, get within the van, and chase away because the gasoline station explodes behind them. They go to the home of Sarah. Apparently, she is Alton's mother and is concerned that he's not looking too well. She puts him to sleep. Rejoining Sevier and Agent Miller from the FBI in the aftermath of the gas station, we find out that a defense satellite in charge of stopping nuclear weapons exploded and crashed at the gas station. There's a heat reading comparable to a nuclear bomb, where Alton was standing when the satellite exploded, but there isn't any radiation present at the site. They determine they can program a drone to track that same reading, so next time Alton's superpowers flare, they can figure out where he is. Doak and Levi, armed with the duct tape and guns, pay a visit to Sarah's mom. On the radio, the official report is that a weather satellite crashed. Lucas works on rigging up Sarah's car with some equipment while she makes small talk. We find out that Lucas was a childhood friend of Roy's before he left to join Calvin's cult. His job before all of this, he was also a state trooper. Sarah couldn't handle seeing Calvin raise her child, so she left the cult. Roy bravely stayed behind to keep an eye on Alton. Doak and Levi go to Sarah's house and find Eldon's van. Then they go to Eldon's house and find him alive. Roy couldn't kill him after all. They ask where the heroes are headed. Our heroes drive and suddenly Alton has difficulty breathing. They pull over and try to help him. Lucas insists they should go to the hospital, but Roy says that they can't. If they do, they won't be able to get to the coordinates. Light shoots out of Alton's eyes and he can't control it. They take him out of the car. The grass around him starts to die. He recovers and tells Sarah and Lucas to go. He points to a distant light in the sky. The government knows where they are. Roy and Alton flee into the woods and find a cave. Alton tells Roy that he needs to be outside in the daytime. Roy says that could harm him. Alton says that Roy needs to trust him. In the morning, Alton and Roy watch the sunrise. Alton recovers completely and his hand illuminates with light. Sevier decodes the numbers from Calvin's sermons. They are a series of coordinates with corresponding dates. Some line up to stuff like where the state trooper was shot and where the gas station explosion happened. Others are just government secrets. Putting the government numbers aside, Sevier figures out where our heroes are headed next. Lucas and Sarah are holed up in a hotel room. Sarah reassures Lucas that Roy won't stop at anything to get Alton where they need to be. There's a knock. It can't be Roy and Alton because it is still daylight. Wrong. It is them. Roy says that Alton was able to show him a glimpse of where he needs to be. Alton explains that he belongs with people who live on a plane of existence that's parallel to ours, but different from ours. He shows Lucas that place through the light in his eyes. Lucas now believes. Lucas puts on his Kevlar vest and goes out to get their car. As soon as he opens the door, Doak and Levi shoot him. Ray grabs his gun and exits the room too, but he's shot in the neck. Doak and Levi break into the room and take Alton. They zip-tie Lucas, Ray, and Sarah and drive away. Sarah breaks free and rescues the other two. They head off after the kidnappers, but the trip is short. They are stuck in the traffic of a military roadblock. Ray goes off-road to get to the front and there they see a military helicopter flying away from Doak's pickup truck. Inside the open truck, the blanket that Doak used to cover Alton's head. It's over. At a military compound, a group of military leaders and scientists try to talk to Alton. He could be a valuable asset. He says that he will talk to Sevier and only to Sevier, so everyone else leaves. Using telekinetic powers, Alton makes it so that the security cameras aren't recording the actual present events. He telekinetically opens the door, which imprisons him. Sevier sheepishly goes inside to talk to Alton. Alton shows him his light. In the middle of nowhere, Roy is devastated that he failed. Then all of the nearby payphones start ringing at once. He picks up. On the other end, Sevier tells him that he has Alton and tells Roy where they can meet. Alton magically helps Sevier steal a car. In the morning, Sevier turns over Alton to Roy and Sarah. He handcuffs himself with Lucas's cuffs and asks if Lucas would be willing to punch him, which Lucas has no interest in doing. Alton tells Roy that there's one route they can go to get through the government roadblocks, keeping them from their final destination. Roy and Sarah also come to terms with the fact that Alton might not belong with them after all, and that once they get there, it's goodbye. They drive through a small military blockade on a country road. Alton and Sarah get out of the car and run through swampland. Roy and Lucas keep the military occupied while driving in Sarah's now badly damaged car. As if by magic, a dome appears around Alton that takes up a good third of the United States. Everywhere, everyone sees a magical world where Alton belongs. All of the beings that inhabit the world are made of light that comes from their hands and eyes, kind of like an evolved version of Alton. Lucas and Roy's car crashes. Alton and Sarah share a goodbye glance, and then as suddenly as everything appeared, it, along with Alton, disappears. After all the running from the ranch, the FBI, the NSA, and all the other government secret services, Roy, Lucas, and Sarah get Alton where he needs to be. He goes away to the parallel world, where he belongs. Roy and Lucas are arrested, while Sarah escapes. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can watch more videos like this.